What if we don't get GTA 6 Trailer 2 this year? Over the past 11 months, this is the question that I've been getting the most on the channel. And in today's video, I want to go through the two different possible scenarios of what will happen if we don't get Trailer 2 this year, but also why that might be something that we don't need to worry about. So to kick off this video, let's start off with the first scenario, which is probably the one that you're thinking of. If we don't get Trailer 2 this year, GTA 6 could be delayed. And this is very much the case. With the previous Grand Theft Auto games and Red Dead Redemption 2, there were 4 to 5 trailers depending if you include the gameplay trailers, and usually Rockstar keeps these relatively in sync with previous releases. Looking back to the history of how Rockstar has worked for previous games, we can get some idea of what their release cycles might look like for future games, for example for GTA 6. And if we were to hypothetically get Trailer 2 in, for example, February, Valentine's Day, we know that GTA 6 is based on a Bonnie and Clyde style love story, so that isn't too much of a stretch. If we were to get it in February, that would mean we would be running out of time for Trailer 2, 3 and 4. With the game predicted to come out in fall of next year, it means they'll be squeezing a lot of content into a 6 to 9 month period. So it's very likely that GTA 6 could be delayed at that point. It could be a case of we were receiving it in April 2026, or maybe even fall 2026. Now it's important to reiterate here and really draw home the facts. Although Take-Two Interactive say the game isn't currently delayed and it's on track for fall 2025, it's still very likely that the game is delayed or internally delayed or expected to be delayed. And the reason why I say this is the same thing applied to previous releases. GTA 4 hit roadblocks, GTA 5 hit roadblocks, Red Dead Redemption 2 hit roadblocks, but the thing is it's too early now to tell us when the game is exactly going to be here. With so many employees, up to 6,000, and so many different moving parts to Rockstar games, it's really hard to state exactly when this game is going to come out. There's so many different things that can happen between now and fall 2025 that could cause the game to get delayed, and games usually don't get delayed until 3 to 6 months prior to their official launch date. This was confirmed by a former Rockstar technical director, Obe Vermage, and this also coincides with how games developers really choose to release a trailer. They'll only really release Trailer 2 when they're at the very start of their marketing cycle. Trailer 1 is to put the feelers out there and to get an understanding if people are engaging with what's being made, but also it's there to show off the project and to keep investors at an arm's length to say, hey, we're working on it, it will be out at some point. Trailer 2 is where things really start to go into full swing. That's where we start having conversations about pre-orders and different pre-order packages, but also a more niche down and focused timescale. Now all of this being said, this does bring us to that second scenario that I mentioned earlier in the video. It's entirely possible that Rockstar's previous patterns are completely outdated. When talking about other games developers, we usually have a game to work off that they released 2 years ago that gives us an accurate release cycle of how they choose to release their games. But with Rockstar, the last Grand Theft Auto game they released was over 11 years ago, and at this point in time, digital marketing in general and game release cycles in general were quite different to what they are now. As we speak at the moment, a good place for games developers to announce the release of their games is platforms like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Now whilst YouTube was around 11 years ago, platforms like Instagram and Twitter were all in their infancy. These weren't main content platforms for developers to release information on. This is a very loose example, but what I'm trying to show you all here is that games are now announced, released, and the cycles for all of these games are relatively different. Now, of course, we had Red Dead Redemption 2, which was a good example of a recent-ish, 6 years ago, but recent-ish Rockstar Games release, but once again, that was still 6 years ago. For GTA 6, it is very possible, and I believe somewhat likely, that they'll probably do something a little bit different. As I've mentioned in the past, it's very possible that they'll release their own app like they did with GTA 5 where we had the iFruit app. It's also possible that they go completely old school with it and do everything that we think they'll do anyway. But my point here is that we just don't know what Rockstar's current status quo is for their release cycles. We know with every single Grand Theft Auto game, they go bigger and better. And the same usually applies for their marketing. They do really cool things like rent some of the biggest billboards in the world, do really cool art murals, and of course do really cool pre-order packs. If, for example, they gave us pre-orders with Trailer 2, there could be a delay with some elements of the pre-orders. Now, what has this got to do with us not getting Trailer 2 this year? Well, I personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I believe that we will get trailer 2 at some point this year. However, if we don't, although there's scenario 1 where the game could be delayed, in scenario 2, the game isn't delayed and Rockstar choose to go really heavy on marketing between the start of next year and the release date. Now for me, what I want obviously is trailer 2 more than anything, but I also do believe that building up the hype and building up the interest in GTA 6 for next year is also really cool as well. Either way, if we get trailer 2 this year, we'll be getting 3, maybe 4 trailers next year. If we don't get trailer 2 this year, we'll still be getting a couple of trailers next year with the release the following year if the game is delayed. So hopefully that clarifies what would happen if we don't get GTA 6 trailer 2 this year. Now another thing to note is that the way that they actually released trailer 2 will probably most likely be quite different to the way they did trailer 1. Whilst it's still entirely possible that we get an announcement of trailer 2, they'll put a post up on Twitter to say that trailer 2 is coming on a certain time or date, it's very unlikely that this will be a YouTube premiere. The main reason for that is that clearly there's a big security issue at YouTube because YouTube premieres allow seed data to be publicly visible. What this essentially means is when you upload a YouTube video as a premiere, there is a 360p or 480p resolution version of the video that's technically publicly accessible. This is generated from the render files that you see on the bottom right of your screen whenever you try to choose your video quality, and for premieres these are all generated well in advance. So my theory on this is that whilst we'll probably get an announcement of trailer 2 maybe a week or 2 weeks before the trailer arrives, I think that it will be immediately posted to YouTube on the selected date and time when we're supposed to be receiving the trailer. I don't think we'll get a YouTube premiere or a countdown. Or alternatively, and this is a little bit of a stretch but it is still entirely possible, Rockstar could have a direct relationship with YouTube where something like this can be mitigated. It's very rare that a games developer will be big enough to have a direct relationship with YouTube, but when your trailer is coming up on 250 million views, I think that's big enough for Rockstar to actually have a conversation with YouTube about how the next trailer is released. Whether this means Rockstar have to upload it directly from YouTube servers, or whether YouTube give them some sort of special access or privileges to mean that the trailer can't get leaked in the future. But also, one more thing that I just want to add to the very end of this video, a lot of people have said that if GTA 6 is delayed, there's no chance that it will be delayed to April 2026 because Rockstar don't release games in April. I had around 50 or so comments of people coming up with this conclusion. Just to clarify, GTA 4 came out in April 2008, and April is a fantastic time for Rockstar to release a game. But once again, this is all assuming on the off chance that the game hypothetically, possibly perhaps is delayed. We have nothing to believe it is so far, only the fact that Rockstar delay everything they work on. So I'm keen to hear what your thoughts are. Do you think the game will be delayed? Do you think we're getting trailer 2 this year? Please make sure to drop it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one.
I'm just looking for a cheap girl, put it on my neck. I keep doing this dance.